Story 1. It all began on a seemingly ordinary August night. The air was still, the moon shone brightly, and the neighborhood was wrapped in a blanket of silence. Inside the Hodgson residence, however, a storm was brewing. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother, was startled by the sudden frantic cries of her children, Janet, aged 11, and Margaret, aged 13. They spoke of furniture moving on its own accord and eerie knocking sounds resonating through the walls. Skeptical yet concerned, Peggy ventured into the children's room, only to witness a chair wobble and slide across the floor, defying the laws of physics. The room was charged with an inexplicable energy, and the air was thick with tension. Peggy, her heart racing, dialed the Metropolitan Police, her voice trembling as she narrated the uncanny events unfolding within her home. The police arrived, their skepticism palpable, yet what they witnessed left them dumbfounded. Objects levitated before their eyes. Toys were thrown across the room by unseen hands, and the knocking sounds continued, growing louder, more insistent. The officers left, unable to provide an explanation, their faces pale and their eyes wide with disbelief. Word spread like wildfire, and soon the Hodgson residence was swarming with paranormal investigators, journalists, and curious neighbors. Among the investigators were Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair from the Society for Psychical Research, SPR. They were determined to unravel the mysteries of the Enfield poltergeist. Night after night, the house revealed its dark secrets. More than 30 witnesses reported seeing heavy furniture move, objects being hurled, and the sisters levitating several feet off the ground. Disembodied voices echoed through the halls, and a gruff voice, identified by Janet as Bill, spoke of tales from the other side. The atmosphere was electric, the tension palpable, and the mystery deepened. Was the Enfield house a portal to the unknown? Were the Hodgson sisters conduits to the spirit world? Questions abounded, and the quest for answers intensified. Yet, amidst the chaos and the intrigue, doubts were cast. Some investigators, including Anita Gregory and John Beloff, were unconvinced. They accused the girls of playing tricks, of exaggerating incidents for attention. The world was divided, believers on one side, skeptics on the other. The plot thickened when Janet was caught bending spoons and attempting trickery. The credibility of the Enfield poltergeist was hanging by a thread. Were the occurrences genuine, or was it all an elaborate hoax? The mystery remained. The house continued its eerie symphony, and the world watched, enthralled. As the investigations delved deeper, the story of the Enfield poltergeist became a tapestry of mystery and intrigue. Every creak of the floorboard, every whisper in the wind, every shadow on the wall was a piece of a puzzle that begged to be solved. The Enfield poltergeist was a dance between the known and the unknown, a symphony of the supernatural, a tale that blurred the lines between reality and the beyond. It left the world wondering, questioning, and forever intrigued by the mysteries of the unseen. To this day, the tale of the Enfield poltergeist remains shrouded in mystery. Was it a glimpse into the paranormal, a journey into the unknown? Or was it a tale woven by imaginative minds, a story that captivated the world and left it yearning for more? The answers remain elusive, the mystery unsolved, and the Enfield poltergeist continues to be a haunting melody in the symphony of the supernatural. Story 2. In the quaint, picturesque town of Amityville, New York, a house stood at 112 Ocean Avenue. It wasn't just any house, but a sprawling Dutch colonial home with its signature gambrel roof and decorative half-moon windows, giving it an almost sentient gaze. Little did the town know, This house would become the epicenter of one of the most chilling and debated paranormal tales in history, the Amityville Horror. The story unfolded in 1974, when a tragedy struck the DeFeo family living in the house. In the dead of night, 6 members of the family were found murdered, each shot while they slept. The sole survivor, Ronald DeFeo Jr., was arrested and later convicted of the gruesome killings. He claimed to have been driven to the act by voices in his head, voices that emanated from the house itself. A year later, the Lutz family, eager to start a new chapter, moved into the seemingly idyllic home. George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, were initially oblivious to the dark shadows that lingered in the corners of the house. But it didn't take long for the unseen forces to make their presence known. From the very first night, an air of unease permeated the house. The temperature would fluctuate inexplicably. Cold spots would appear out of nowhere, and an unsettling stench of decay wafted through the rooms. George Lutz was plagued by a persistent chill, and he would wake up at 3:15 a.m. every night, the exact time the DeFeo murders occurred. The family would hear footsteps, untraceable to any source, and doors would slam shut on their own accord. Kathy Lutz experienced vivid, horrifying nightmares, reliving the DeFeo murders in her sleep, each detail hauntingly accurate. The children, too, were not spared, with their beds shaking violently and unseen hands gripping them. As the days turned into weeks, the paranormal activity escalated. A hidden red room was discovered in the basement, sending shivers down their spine, its presence unknown even in the house blueprints. George would see glowing eyes outside the windows, and Kathy felt embraced by unseen arms. The walls would bleed a green viscous substance, and swarms of flies would appear, despite the winter chill. A priest was called to bless the house, but the unseen forces were relentless. The priest was met with a guttural voice, commanding him to get out. He left, his skin blistered, and a warning on his lips for the Lutz family to never sleep in a particular room. The tension was palpable, the fear tangible, and the house seemed to be alive, watching, waiting. The Lutz family, desperate and terrorized, reached out to paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens, armed with their knowledge of the supernatural, stepped into the house, only to be met with a force so malevolent it sent shivers down their spine. During a seance, Lorraine, a clairvoyant, connected with the spirits in the house. The air grew dense, the temperature dropped, and a shadowy figure materialized. The house, it seemed, was built on a cursed land, where the suffering of the past had imbued the very walls with an unspeakable evil. After 28 days of enduring the inexplicable and terrifying phenomena, the Lutz family fled, leaving behind their belongings and a house shrouded in mystery. The tale of the Amityville Horror spread like wildfire, with skeptics and believers debating the veracity of the events. Was the Amityville house truly a gateway to the demonic, or was it all a figment of imagination, a tale spun from fear and shadows? The mystery remains, the debate continues, and the house at 112 Ocean Avenue stands as a testament to the unknown, a chapter in the book of the unexplained, forever etched in the annals of the paranormal. Story 3. In the post-war era of the 1970s, in the suburban sprawl of Thornton Heath, England, a seemingly ordinary house was about to become the stage for a series of mysterious and chilling events that would be whispered about for years to come. This was the setting for the enigmatic tale of the Thornton Heath poltergeist. The family, whose identity remains concealed behind the veil of anonymity, moved into their dream home, blissfully unaware of the unseen residents that dwelled within. It all began innocuously enough, with a harmless Christmas ornament swinging of its own accord. The family, puzzled but not alarmed, dismissed it as a trick of the wind. However, as the days turned into nights, the house revealed its true colors. The air grew heavy with an unseen presence, and the family would be awakened by the blaring sound of a bedside clock radio, tuned to a foreign language station. The volume turned up as if by invisible hands. The incidents escalated, growing more frequent and more sinister. Objects would move on their own, furniture would be overturned, and the chilling sound of footsteps echoed through the empty halls. The family, their nerves frayed, would often find their child, wide-eyed and terrified, speaking of a man in old-fashioned attire, watching silently from the shadows. The atmosphere in the house was charged with tension, and the family lived in a state of perpetual fear. The mother would often feel a cold hand on her shoulder, only to turn around and find no one there. The father was plagued by nightmares, visions of a sinister figure, his face obscured by darkness. Desperate for answers, the family called in a local priest to bless the house. The air was thick with anticipation as the priest walked through the rooms, sprinkling holy water and uttering prayers. However, the unseen entity was undeterred, its antics growing more brazen and more malevolent. The climax of the haunting came one fateful night when the family was gathered in the living room. The air grew icy cold, the lights flickered, and a gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing the fireplace. The room was plunged into darkness, and the family huddled together, their breaths held in fear. Suddenly, the sound of a piano filled the room, the keys moving on their own, playing a haunting melody that sent shivers down their spines. The family, paralyzed with fear, watched as objects levitated before their eyes, and the sinister figure from their nightmares materialized before them. The figure, dressed in old-fashioned attire, was transparent, his features twisted in a sinister smile. He spoke in a voice that was both guttural and chilling, recounting tales of his life and his untimely death. The family, their hearts racing, listened in horror as the ghostly figure spoke of a hidden treasure buried within the house, a treasure that he would protect at all costs. The haunting continued for years, with the family enduring the sinister presence and the mysterious happenings. Paranormal investigators were called in, seances were held, and the house was thoroughly searched for the hidden treasure, but the mystery remained unsolved. The Thornton Heath poltergeist became a tale of intrigue and suspense, a story that blurred the lines between the living and the dead. The house, with its unseen residents and its hidden secrets, remains a testament to the unknown, a place where the past and the present collide, and where the living and the dead coexist in a dance of mystery and fear.